Somebody's clapping. Jane McCarthy Wilson's clapping. That means I'm there. Hello everybody, we're just making sure the technology works, and we hope that you can now find me on my Facebook page. I'm reliably assured by my assistant that I am there. Do pop up and say a comment to show me that you're out there. Sorry, getting the family sorted out. Is there anybody else out there? Hello everybody. Two people. It's working. Ryan, do they need any tips? Yes. Looking and sounding fab. Oh, there you go. And you can see behind me, I've got dyslexia and poetry written on the wall. If anybody needs any assistance, just put a message up, please. Because what everybody's looking for is Nigella, of course. She has to pop up. You can stay here for the preview, Nigella. Hi. Hi, Jane. Lovely to see you. Well, hear from you. See your writing. We're going to start in a couple of minutes, so we won't start till dead on 3, because some people will probably just tune in there. This is the book. If you haven't seen it before, it's absolutely gorgeous cover with beautiful wasps on the front and appropriately red, which is for many reasons my favourite colour. And you can get a copy from the lovely, wonderful V Press, or if you want a signed copy, DM me on Facebook or Twitter. If you live locally, as some of you know, I'm happy to give 10-minute micro readings. If you live in the Nantwich Crewe area, I'll come to your garden and do you a bespoke 10-minute micro reading tailored to your interests and poetic interests. Make sure you've got your snacks and your drinks. I've got my sparkling water here. It's not gin, it's nice sparkling water. Not Jimmy Bean. I've got my snacks somewhere. I think they're over there. I'm just waiting till 3 because there'll be people clearly rushing in. I mean, they're not going to rush in because they can't, but tuning in, I suppose, is the expression that we should use. Isn't it, Nigella? Yeah. So I was just going to think about at some point people will be able to ask me questions, but I'm gonna, at the interval, I'd love to know where everybody's coming from, see where my farthest person is, And also I'd love to know what people who are doing a lot of Zoom events, what their experiences are, because I think there's kind of pros and cons, and it might be really interesting to compare notes on Zoom versus live launch. I have to say it was certainly not as stressful this morning. I didn't have to run around with paper cups and cakes and sorting out toilet facilities, so that was less stressful so far. It is the technology, I think, that's the stressful bit. So I'm just going to check my messages because I've got people messaging, and I hope it doesn't say they can't find me. But yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, we've got people arriving. That's very good. Don't be shy. Please put comments down. Please let us know that you're out there. So give it another moment and then we'll kick off. Okay, I think we'll go for it. We're going to start. Imagine a live poetry launch in an atmospheric venue, let's say Nantwich Museum. Feel the touch on the arm of an old friend, the warm hugs of people who supported you over the years, the networking, the catching up, the carefree laughter from a time pre-COVID, the moony smiles of shared joy. Consider the build-up beforehand, the date in your diary, what to wear, who else is going, how to get there. All letting you build up this expectation for the poetry event. And then when you get there, there's this electrifying, immersive hush of 50 people listening to the same words with no question of the value of poetry. And then afterwards, there is the signing of the books and the cake and the sparkling wine and the link of the book and the event, which inspires and heightens the pleasure. Well, there won't be any of that today, but reasons to be cheerful. No time or money getting to the event, so distant friends can join. No hard-bottomed seats. No pressure to be sociable beforehand, no hecklers, and no one feeling any obligation to buy your book or not awkward about not buying your book. And you lot out there, you can do your knitting, you can crunch popcorn, you can go for a pee anytime you like. So there are loads of advantages. A lot of poets at the moment are delaying their releases. But after 4 months of running round Auntie Phyllis's garden, I need to seize the day, not seize up in my box. I want to embrace the new normal, not hanker for the old normal. So, is anybody out there? And I'm glad to see Jane would not normally have been able to come to the launch, so she's a long way away. So hello, Jane, and Sarah likewise. By the way, Nigella is this beautiful hen who's largely dominated most of my Facebook, as you know, for the last few months. But today is not Nigella's day, is it? So Nigella's going to be a very, very good hen puppet, and she is going to go off and listen to my reading. And you might be seeing it. Now, I don't want a mass exodus now because Nigella's gone. I'd like, before I start the reading, to thank some very important people. First of all, to Sarah of V Press, Sarah James of V Press, for all her incredible patience, her professionalism and her support and enthusiasm about this pamphlet. It just really makes everything so enjoyable. I'd like to thank the many students and teachers from the MMU, where I did my MA, who gave me the tools and the confidence to carry on and bring this project to fruition. I'd like to absolutely thank the three wonderful poets who endorsed the pamphlet, so Elizabeth Sennett Clough, Will Harris and Judy Brown. And finally, I'd like to thank my family and friends and all the people along the way who've read the poems, who've critiqued them, who've done something to contribute to today. First of all, I'm going to read 10 minutes of the poems. Hopefully now quite a few of you joined. And then I'm going to take a break and I'm going to ask and answer some questions if people want to do that. And then I'll read another 10 minutes. So it shouldn't be too long an event. But first of all, we have a spoiler alert. The book is basically about a mother-son relationship. It's about dyslexia at different stages of person's life. It's how views are dissolved in the din of voices. Many different views get lost in the plethora of words that surround. And it's finally and triumphantly about how neurodiverse people form new types of language. They put pressure on words, they break, they disrupt, they combine words with other types of language. So that is the spoiler alert, and with no more said, I shall now read some poems for you, which is what you've come for. I'm going to read the first four more or less back to back. They're the first four poems in the book, fairly self-explanatory experiences of being a mother, particularly of a dyslexic son. So the first poem is called Elderly Prima Gravida Talks to Her Dyslexic Son. Once upon beginning, lips gave you my word, but I was dissolved in a din of voices. You did not crawl, since left and right were stillborn words on planet U. At the creche, you fled from gaping toddlers, their lexical smother of paint on salt dough. You liked the wall chart, where lines of spots made numbers, and you burst out, 1, 2, 3. Made guilty by experts, I shoaled you in talk. Lego's syllabic logic bricked up your silence. I hope you loved my ning, nang, natter, as I, the seedling syntax of your face. Elderly P and her son at the library. He hugged the bright books, felt the power of turning pages, fingered their neat edges. He filled Mum's beanbag lap as she read. They stroked the furry tiger pictures, pulled up the pop-up jaws until they tore. Back home, they would act out Aladdin. Only when the words trilled, read, he shut up this murmuration of marks, put them in their place upon a shelf. So in the book, the poems are kind of an amalgam of all my different experiences, and for obvious reasons, I didn't want to include direct reference to individual people. However, there is a person or a thing in this poem who's based on a real teddy bear, Bed Ted here, who's very shy, so he's not staying long, although we anonymised it and called him Mr. Bear, but this is his story too. Thank you, Bed Ted. The poem is sort of shaped in the idea of 3 bits of jigsaw, which is kind of a clue to the title, which is Reception Class Boy and Bits. Halfway to town, he spots a homeless Ted by the nettles and needles, torn and pissed on, and yet he insists that we carry Mr. Bear home, dry him out, sew him up too. On the bus, he picks up the Metro, stares at the front page carnage, asks Mum to read it out to him. At school, he runs to tell Miss about the dead baby. She yells at him to get in line, and his ears twist into scolding shrimps. 3. Signet children must sit on the red table. Tyrone is having a shitty day and chucks a chair at him. Home time. Mum fusses about a bruise over his eye. He thinks of Tyrone and says, "It's all right," asks for a jubbly from the shop. Next poem obviously refers to the Stevie Smith Not Waving But. I cannot fathom how everyone is fooled by letters, how people think that S and T together make the perfect st. We need to talk about S. More snake than letter. I'm never sure which way it slimes, whether it'll hiss or buzz. Not to mention how it hides at the end of words where I cannot find it, how it makes a problem multiply. I am shocked that people trust the snapping jaws of B's and K's, the dangling hooks of F's and T's, the letter river I am drowning in and no one sees it, drifting like a ghost where I am the H, unrecognized. So just 2 more poems from this part of the reading. The middle section of the book really dwells more, as we move from experiences to kinds of symptoms, specific symptoms, including sort of comorbid or co-occurring symptoms. So this one is about short-term memory loss, which adults say is the biggest difficulty for them as people with dyslexia. Short-term memory loss. It starts with an empty, tight-lipped jug, or a foggy eviction from my narrative. Familiar names are clinging to my tongue. I lose my spectacles and wash my purse. A slush of turnips blackens in the pan. Others fear dementia. I was born misplacing. Mid-stairs, purpose waves goodbye. I float. At quiz time, I parrot an answer, claim it's mine. At night, I lie awake to rescue hunches. It started with a P. Or was it K? Next day fills with Mrs. Malaprop, what's it, pen drives, Brillig, crib sheets. Only the key things cross the neural pathway. The days that leaked, the saltiness of now, the dregs of pain, the scent of being loved. Okay, so the last poem in this sort of section is called Cutting Out, and deals much more with obviously what we think of as more dyspraxic traits of coordination difficulties. Cutting out. The right-handed scissor beak Sneers open, rolls its goody two-hole eyes. She blames the gluey warts, loose screws, odd spelling, skewed grammar. Blunt steel gums chew her torn paper. She hates Faye's perfect snowflake. But snip tripping, back stitching from school, her sharp eyes cut out a freckled lark whose song pierces blue sky. Drawn by its slapstick struggle to fly, her supple heart climbs its twists into the air. Her place of swab soft clouds, not bruising edges, tangled laces, binned doilies. So, ladies and gentlemen, people, I'm having a look here on my thing, sliding it down. The next 5 or 10 minutes, I just want to interact with you as an audience, and it's lovely to see here. Hi, Helen and Nigella from Mel. Jonathan, hi, Nigella and Helen. Jonathan, hi, Helen, good to see you. Rosalind, hi, Helen, and so on. So it's fantastic. So I thought I would ask you guys a question and to see who's come the farthest today. Is it somewhere in England, or have we got people from farther off? So please just type where you come from, if you like, and let's see who's the furthest. Oh, so Jim's from Crewe. That's a long way. That must take a camel ride. Ah, Vicky Cholton's there with Debs. Hello, Vicky and Debs. And Stefan's there. That's fantastic. Annie says, I can hear you enjoying the poems, but I'm getting it twice. Ooh. Well, 2 me's is better than 1, Annie. I hope you can sort that. Oh, it's Rachel. Happy birthday, Rachel. And Steve from our group, thank you. So please throw some questions at me. You're all putting nice clappy things, but are there any questions about how the poems came into being, or questions about the construction? I'll just talk a bit about it. Actually took, it's taken 10 years really from the first poem. The first poem was in 2011. I won this prize called the Trowland District Writers Group Prize for the most original poem, and I got a picture in the post and a little shield, and I thought that was probably the most exciting thing in the whole of my poetry career. And sadly the Trowland District Writers don't run anymore, but it felt really, really good. They gave you a mark out of 100, which was really cute. So from that one poem, it just went on and on, trying to, oh dear, sorry, my bandwidth is too low. Oh, Kina, I'm sorry about that. But each poem came sometimes over the 10 years. Some of them inspired by my family, obviously, but also by students that I work with, because that's my job is as a dyslexia tutor. So there's a sort of amalgam of hundreds and hundreds of students that I've very proudly helped along the way of their journey, which is a very special. I don't think I could have had a better job than that. So they kept on growing and growing and growing, and then the ideas started changing. So that original poem from the Trowland District Writers has changed many forms since then, to what it is today. So any questions anyone would like to ask me about anything, like why is the cover red, or what kind of snack have I got? Any questions? We've also got the Sarah's here as well, so if you want to ask Sarah any questions about VPress, the process. That's good. Where you can get it, obviously. Selling it is not the most important thing. It's holding it and loving it. But if you do want to get it, please feel free to DM me or get it direct from the VPress website. And it's £6.50 plus P&P. Also, if you want a micro reading, please do contact me, people from Nantwich. I'm just going to scroll down here because, I mean, it's actually a miracle of technology that I managed to do this. Ah, Trixie is drinking out of her hen cup in honour of me. That's in honour of thing. Oh, we've got people from Hebden Bridge, Stafford, Ellesmere, Glastonbury in Somerset. That's the furthest so far. Walton in Thames, the very exotic crew. Hello, Holly. Thank you for joining us. Nantwich, yes, which is where I live. Mo, lovely. Nantwich, hello. Annie Hall, scroll down and pause at the second window. Thank you. Well, Annie Hall has to take the prize because she's from Italy. So greetings from England to Italy. And thank you very much. I have to say, Annie Hall is a woman who's responsible for the whole of this. She is proudly to say, she's my English teacher from the age 11 up to, I think, on and off till I was 18, who inspired and encouraged me to write poetry. Well, here's another woman that's absolutely inspired me, Barbara Ralston. How much drafting and redrafting, massive amounts of editing, I think, letting sharing it with other people, letting people read, people giving their their 2 pence of feedback, that, a comma here, a comma there, revising and then revising, and right at the end, revising it again after I'd finished my course, and just really giving that extra push. So hundreds and hundreds of different versions, I'm afraid, Barbara, which I get being a muddled person, I confuse myself. I've, however, arranged them. That's a really good question. Thank you, Linda. Near Bath Johns. I've arranged it in 3 sections, and originally I had kind of clear sections, but in the end, I felt it was getting too heavy-handed, like directing you through. But broadly, the first part of the book is about different specific moments in a person's life, from birth right up to adult assessment. And then the second bit is branching out to these various symptoms and experiences, the whole process of getting assessed and having special lessons to mediate that. It was a theme which I'm not going to read about today, about English teachers. You can be an English teacher and be dyslexic, and mental health issues arising out of that. And the third section is the positive section, which is talking about all these different languages that I use, which is everything from table tennis to silence to texting to drama students using those languages. Do I have a favourite moment from the experience? I can honestly say, Holly, that this has been for me such a personal experience that I have many proud moments. There's one about my son playing table tennis, and I just went to see him playing table tennis, and I was just amazed how good he was, and I felt such a choking with pride, because all my family are dyslexic, of course. Eileen Thompson, feeling emotional. I'm already feeling very emotional as well, Eileen. Thank you for that. It is, I can honestly say, when I reread the poems, when I've been doing my micro thing, I just completely feel the lump in my throat for quite a lot of the poems. Trailer, Kaz. Great. Hello, Kaz. Thank you for coming. And Trixie's there. Happy memories with Annie, my English teacher. Norwich, from the east. How has writing changed my relationship to language? Overall, it's kind of improved it. Obviously, the simple answer is the more you do it, the more you develop techniques. But I think I'm also become more aware of wanting to put pressure on language in order to elicit something new with language, not just new in terms of theme, but putting pressure. There's an awful lot of words in here where I'm asking them to carry an awful lot of weight, like the title Cutting Out for the poem I've just read, you know, really pushing language and coming up with some kind of, I wouldn't say cheap puns, but interesting offside puns. Hello, Annie. Oh, there's Stefan, my lovely, one of the inspirations behind the book. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me, because this is a new experience. And as I was saying in my intro, you know, I just hope that we do carry on. And it has lots of advantages. And I thought that Annie, my English teacher, can be here, which she couldn't be at a live launch. And lots of people who couldn't normally access it can do. And that's really special. Obviously, there's the live atmosphere is great too. But any more questions, or shall I press on? We're getting there. We're getting through the hour. So 4 or 5 poems I'm now going to read from the second half. So the first one is about students. I work with HE students now, and one of the biggest things is writing essays on time and using your own words. It's hard for any student, but if you have a specific learning difficulty, it's terrifying. And I've spent many hours of stress and living through the stress of my students. So it's called The Student's Essay Blues. What time is it, Mr. Wolf? The time between know it and say it splits open. I sleep beneath a sheet of crumpled plans. The clock's claw-sharp hands slit a fleeing hour by the throat. 1 o'clock. A mob of post-it notes. I cannot write a line, but I can't cope. My Dell is overheating. Heavy drops roll down the can and nothing gels. 2 o'clock. This journal perfectly sums up my views. Use their words or sweat till dawn to find my own. A growly dinner time rumbles my head. A paragraph is born. 3 o'clock. The word count is a plaster cast. At last I find some tricks to trim it down, put complex points in quotes and edit long names to acronyms. 4 o'clock. The mark machine decides my fate. Elated selfies or a trip to welfare. Why make a fish climb up a tree to gasp on air? Hot air. Dead air. Oh, we've got Morag logging in from a Dundee Asda car park. That's not quite as far as Italy, but that's brilliant. I mean, look at that. You can see me in an Asda car park. You can't do that at a live launch. Well, I hope you've got plenty of snacks there, Morag, to share with us. So the next poem is the one which kind of opens this section of all the different possible languages available to people with dyslexia. It's called Way to Blue. Duncan Goodhue was dyslexic, so he swam. He had no roads to choose from. He kept swimming, carving waxy lines across the pool. Picasso broke rules, pushed paint beyond itself. Lennon broke words with notes, and Stewart wrote loops on racetracks. Others plough the clay or trace the way of corvids. Chainsaws cut raw cuneiform, and in 1,000 burrowed bedrooms, the ones that school wrote off have found their life in eBay deals or Game Boys, designing bridges, magic tricks, or jigsaws. They know all shapes are made to fit. which I find is a really... Jane says, any work in the collection started at Tynewid and Wooing the Linden? There is one poem which I took. I'd have to go back, Jane. There was one poem which we all sat round and workshopped about, called The Dyslexic Boy in Bits. Dyslexic Boy and the 5-year sentence. I remember it sort of distinctly because the laureate gave me the idea that a wonderful ex-laureate gave me the idea of the word a swoosh for a tick, which I kept. So yes, you've seen one of these poems before from all that time. That was 2016. I will read the next two poems and then I'll take some more questions after that. The next one is about my son's obsession as a child with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I wanted to write a kind of self-ironic poem about myself as a support worker, because we think we know what we're doing when we do support, and we sit there and quite often we don't know what the child is really thinking. And don't worry if you don't understand Yu-Gi-Oh, because that gives you a taste of perhaps what dyslexic people feel all the time when everybody's talking. It's called One-to-One Support and with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And somewhere I've got an emoji figure because I use emojis in it. Of course, I'm not used to this back to front thing. So here goes. Oops, got that right. My lanyard reads Staff, a leading brand. My title says I do understand. So this is the child's voice. Mrs. Card clatters and clutters and bites. Add emoji. Oops, got a bit back to front. I play diversity against her guiding light. The boy nods, but his eyes slink away. I wonder where he's dreaming to today. She uses ray of hope, smiley emoji. A trap card rescues 2 monsters from her graveyard. The lines on his face say, no parking here. I offer praise in hope they disappear. I use change of heart, sad emoji. I hate dinner break. Mark's bad. A berserk gorilla. At night, I pull my badge over my head and swim free. His label is embedded. I counter-attack with deep sea shark. Jaleel has insect queen to take out Mark. I don't ask how deep. That's double yellow talk in painful street. How could I know? She shuts her book. Her card swings. It's chipped. I noticed these things. Okay, so looking at the time, I've just got time. I'm just going to do a couple more. I have mentioned the table tennis one, so I suppose I should do that one really, which began with any child with dyslexia. With any child, you should find what they're good at and nurture it, and that's could be anything. And we used to go to the Manchester Museum, Castlefield, and there was a science gallery with lots of hands-on science stuff, and that's where this poem started out. It's called Talking Back. The science gallery stirred up the screeching moon kids of rosy mums and stubble dads in Sunday jeans, half watching weights and water wheels. He fixed his eyes on one exhibit, the same one every visit, that tested reflex movements. When the red light flashes, hit the bottom. I scream, failed to lure him from beating milliseconds. This lad, labelled slow, whacked the winking bowl with his palm, and life began. Palm, bat, ball, light, and bounce. 2. Let it rain, who cares, he laughed. He hated bikes and swimming baths. The muddy park had made it clear he never would be slimed by city. 2 bent bats and a dented ball, a slouching net across a gate-leg table that opened up its pummeled wings to fill our tiny lounge. Sulky serves soon faded. The ball now spun in its loom of air that wove his hand to its arc, his heart to its tapping pulse, his brain to the curve of its skull. Tock, 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 tick. And I'll just do one more. Hello, John. Lovely to see you there. John, another V-Press poet from afar. The girl eating thistles. So I think this kind of didn't start as a dyslexic poem, but it actually is, because language has such a power to give us suggestions and give us doorways and ideas. But conversely, um, the poem is a sort of painting, and it's the smile of the girl that's the most powerful communication, I think, in the poem. Girl eating thistles. Today, her tomorrow is orange. Not ribbed segmental hours and pips, just this hunter's moon that doesn't know its beauty. A Cinderella shedding petticoats to add its magic to a scoop of pup ice cream. Her finger and thumb twizzle its stem as if this fruit could spin her choices. Chinese lanterns, Cape gooseberries, ground cherries, golden strawberries. Each name opens up a different world. First bite, a long and cautious chew ignites an amber smile. And then just 4 lines for the final bit called redraft. And I think it's really important that a lot of identity poems attempt to rewrite history, to rewrite language, and that's this. So old rhymes don't have to stay the same. Georgie P can be the gentle guy. Little Jack Horner can be centre stage, and Humpty Numpty needn't crack and fry. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, for coming today. I know it's really quite difficult. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked that you all managed to get here. And I hope you have a safe journey home. If there's any questions, I'm just looking at the comments from Eileen. We went to Castlefield very often. Maybe you were there when we were there. So that would be funny to think that. Thank you, Jane, for your nice comments about the energy of the poems. Oh, hello, Andrea. Andrea from Sheffield. Thank you very much. And I hope. Oh, I love the humour of that one. Thank you. I hope that you've all enjoyed. I hope it's been worthwhile. Bravissima! That's Italian, that is. So I hope you do have a safe journey home. I hope that you all. Oh, are we live at the moment, please? One is not sure. Yes, Brian. Hello, Brian. You are live. You've got here. Fantastic. Barbara. Hi, Nigella. Well, yes, she's here as well. Anne from Crook. Hiya, Anne from Crook. Give a big wave, Nigella, to Anne in Crook. Thank you. Hilary from Saddleworth. Wonderful poet, Hilary. Thank you. Sarah, and from beautiful intro and beautiful moving, fantastic questions. Yes, thank you. Julian Lee, where I spent 20 odd years of my life. Thank you, Julie, for tuning in. Heather, hello, Heather from Worcester. So, and Debbie Breeze there. Thank you. So, please do another reading soon. Yes, Barbara, I will. I'd love to. Jill McAvoy, that's fantastic. Are you in Devon, Jill? That's amazing. Thank you, Jill. Vicky Charlton says clapping. Clapping. There's Vicky clapping for you, Nigella. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan from Barge World. That's Canal Land. Brian, hi Trixie. Can you tell us if I'm live? You are live, Brian. You're here. Jim from Crew, thank you very much. And don't forget, micro readings on offer, and hope to see you soon. So I think we're going to sign off now. I think everybody said their comments, and thank you very much for coming. So, oh, Marion, hello, Marion. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your compliment, and really nice to hear the poems. Alice, lovely, wooing the Linden. See that Alice was another person I met on a course at Tinewid. Mo, hello, Mo from Nantwich Writers Group, a terrific group of writers in Nantwich. But she's reconnected there. So thank you, everybody. So we're going to say goodbye from me and goodbye from the wonderful Nigella. She's hoping to get her own book out soon, aren't you, Nigella? Love the NHS. Thank you for the NHS. And see you soon. And I'm going to go. Bye. End live video.